everyone. John Henderson Pierre. Yes, I'm still living. Looking a mess. Grizzly Adams. Need a shave. Beard, everything. Anyway, tonight is a beer ramble, and today we're looking at Labatt Blue or Bleu Canadian Pilsner. 5% ABV. And it says, Ray Beer calls it a pale lager. So this is American Adjunct lager. Gets a poor score on Beer Advocate, and the Alston Brothers, the Bros. Rate Beer also gives it a poor score. Canada's best-selling beer throughout the world. Best-selling Canadian beer in the world, I guess. According to what they say. What my beer looks like. Best-selling Canadian beer in the world. Anyway, here's what my beer looks like. Looks very clear on the bottom, as you can see. Some head up top, not much. Someone's texting me right now. There's some interesting hops to this beer here. Very aromatic. Some small sense of a little sugar, not much, but just a tidbit of sugar in there. Smells nice. Got the playoffs on right now. I'm watching Houston and Oklahoma City. I think this thing might be wrapped up tonight. Favor of the Rockets. Down the hatch, everybody. Yeah. I remember the first time I had this, 1999. Yes. Made that 1998. I take that back. My parents were out of the country someplace, and I ordered a pizza, and it turned out I ordered a pizza from someplace else around the corner. I didn't want to pay for it, and tonight was not what I wanted. I wanted Star Tavern pizza, a little spot in Orange. Great pizza place. I missed that spot. I need to go back there and visit, give me some of their stuff again. You know, nice little hole in the wall bar, awesome pizza, great beers on tap. It's a great spot just to chill and have a beer and eat pizza, and other stuff they have there too. So, yeah, I remember that, and I had that, and I purchased it, 6-pack of it, Labatt Blue from Canada, and they were doing commercials of it here in the States at that time. They had they had the characters of Bob and Doug, and doing this, and at the time I thought this was pretty good. Bob and Doug McKenzie, Rick Moranis, and I think another comedian from the Second City unit, and Second City TV. If you used to watch that, that was pretty cool. So they decided to go ahead and do this. But anyway, this beer comes out, and they would do a lot of commercials, and all of a sudden commercials kind of stopped. Haven't been seen or heard from since, but the beer is pretty much well known. Particularly, mostly the sales of this is very good in the Midwest and the Northeast, particularly on the Canadian border. You know, especially on Ontario, which is right on the border of Michigan. Same with those in Quebec and even Ottawa. Quebec's Ontario, the province of Quebec, the province of Ontario, Ottawa, which is the capital of Canada, and they do very well in sales. This beer came out 1951. That was Canadian Pilsner. The brewery actually started in 1847. Bless me. Uh, they've done very well, and they went through obviously through issues up in Canada, prohibition. They went through some legal wrangling, but the beer has done very well. And there's always been a battle between them and Molson as to who was the best beer, who was the best selling. Molson at one time was, and then there comes boom, Labatt, and then Budweiser got involved, and then they said they were the best selling beer in the country of Canada. Then there's been a seesaw battle. I mean, even the battle between those two to who invented the ice beer. Labatt says they did. They had the patent with Labatt Ice. Molson says no. They're the ones who invented it with Molson Ice. So I haven't had neither of those ice beers, but well, whoever invented it, we're thankful for it. Obviously, Bud Ice, which came out in '95. At that time, Labatt was in '93. They say they were first. And then Molson said they were first in 1993. Then you had Genesee Ice, Bud Ice in 90. Ice House actually was the first in '94. Bud Ice, um, Bush Ice, Keystone Ice, all within that 2 year time frame between '93 and '95. That's when all of them sort of kind of came onto the scene and say, the ice beer rage that came out, but which all did very well. Yeah, the beer, like I said, 1941. They're part of their, I guess, because of their merger with Interbrew. Um, well, let's say Buffalo, New York, brewing company of Canada, Toronto, Ontario. So they're part of the InBev conglomerate of Anheuser-Busch, which I'm sure they have their. I'm sure they maybe they help with the distribution of it into the states. And further, as we've gotten it down here in the southeast part of the country, um, and maybe further out west, which was the southwest, like Texas and New Mexico and Arizona. I'm sure they're going to make their reach, but um, when I saw this at Rouse's, I was like, surprised to see, was about maybe a year or so ago, 2 years. I was like, whoa, what's this? Really? Labatt Blue? I never thought we would get this in this state, but um, but I've always enjoyed this. Like I said, it's been a while since I've had this. This is going back way back to the '90s. Late '90s when I had this, and I've always enjoyed Molson Canadian. But the price of the beers, obviously, is with anything is a big key. And I think some places I've seen it's like for $10.99 for a 6 pack of this, or close to 11. I mean, $11 or maybe $10 for a 6 pack of this. I mean, if you want to get it, it's a very refreshing, good, adjunct lager or pale lager, I'll call it, or as the bottle says, Pilsner. But very refreshing, very easy drinking. I mean, again, usual stuff to pair with, whether it be chili dogs, um, hot wings, you know, Chinese, spicy Asian cuisine. You can pair this with, and whatever that's popular up in Canada. I'm sure bacon, something, uh, something with a lot of grilled meats would be good. Would pair well with this beer, And of course, they've sponsored a lot of events. Hockey, Hockey Night in Canada. They sponsored the Winnipeg Canadian football team. At one time they did own part ownership of the Toronto Blue Jays until 1995. So this beer has been involved, kind of like some of the beers here were involved with a lot of sports teams. I mean, Ballantine Ale had an agreement with what you call it. Uh, with the Yankees and promoting their events and different sports teams. So it's been a lot of things they've been involved in. And again, it's a solid beer, folks. You can't go wrong with this. Very well made, very enjoyable, perfect with anything. So Despite the score you see on Beer Advocate, whatever, I'm going to give this thing a solid B. So tell me what you think about Labatt Blue. It deserves a B score or not. Leave your comments on the bottom. And I cannot seem to get any peace in this house at all. Johnny and Pierre, the Beer Ramble. That was the doorbell. So you keep on watching as always. Cheers.